Thank you so much for joining us today, Zen.
I'm so excited to be here. We finally get to chat.
I know. And this is going to be a chat that needs to happen because so many people don't know about the topic we're about to approach. And you have gone through a lot. And if you can believe it, only 3 weeks post surgery. And I want to start by explaining a little bit about what brought you to a surgery to explant your breast implants. What were the signs? What were the symptoms where you, a very healthy, very vibrant, very busy talk show host, said, wait a minute, I'm not okay. I have to address this and seek medical attention?
Thank you for that introduction. And I'm so excited to be here. Happy 2024. And this is a big trending topic. And more importantly, I had breast implants for 14 years, saline, small ones, 250 cc's. And I never thought I had any symptoms that were related to my breast implants. In fact, on my talk show, on my radio and TV show on iHeartRadio, I have a segment where we cover very, very serious health issues and health topics. And one of the health issues and health topics we've been covering for the last 4 years is breast implant illness. And my main contributor on that segment is Dr. David Rankin from Aquaplastic Surgery in Jupiter, Florida. And he solely explants. And I had many guests on my show that have explanted their breast implants with Dr. Rankin that are advocates that breast implant illness is a very real thing and they did suffer from it. And the FDA has been hiding and had been hiding a lot of information leading to health risks without disclosing it properly, nor would the surgeon. So I became their voice. And I remember starting all of my interviews with the disclaimer, I don't suffer from breast implant illness. I've had saline implants for the last 14 years with no issues. But I also knew in the back of my mind that that 10-year mark had lapsed, and 10 to 14 years, they recommend you either seek a revision surgery or replace them or explant them and figure out your next steps. But there's a lot of misinformation surrounding the length and the health of these implants and what's allowed and what's not allowed in terms of mammography, because a mammogram can squash those implants, which then leads to not taking the proper health precautions when you have implants. And some women don't have access to an MRI. So, which is the safe route when you have implants. An MRI is suggested because that will be able to isolate any kind of abnormalities within and surrounding the tissue of that breast that is hidden by the implant, where you can't even get that kind of precision even in a mammogram, and you also risk rupturing that implant, whether it be saline or silicone. Now, I'd covered this for 4 years, and the last 9 months, I started experiencing night sweats. And as a result of the night sweats, I would wake up with extremely high blood pressure simply just in the mornings. And I simply didn't understand this. It just didn't make sense to me. And this went on for the last 9 months. Night sweats, we're not talking about small night sweat. We're talking about changing your pajamas 3 to 4 times throughout the night. So it's like you're running a marathon. That's the amount of sweat. And I'm a, young, but by no means am I premenopausal. In my late 30s, and I never thought in a million years that it was a hormonal imbalance. So I just kind of let it be. And the 9 months started lapsing. And at the 6-month mark of 2023, just right before we ended this year, I went in for a physical, and my doctor said, hey, by the way, it's 8 a.m. and your blood pressure is really high. What's up? What's going on with your blood pressure? And I said, I don't know. I don't understand this. I don't know what it could be from. So we proceed with following up with an internist, a cardiologist, and a kidney specialist, and a neurologist. And we undergo 76 primary tests, 96 secondary tests, 2 MRIs with contrast, 24-hour urine collection samples, testing the cortisol levels throughout different times. Nothing. You're fine. Go home. It's probably your work. It's probably stress. We have no idea why you have high blood pressure, only in the morning and only on the diastolic number, which means the lower number, which was indicative of something far greater than just why is it the lower number that's really high, is that it's the way the blood vessels are constricting within. So that led me to try to figure out, well, was there something I could do to help ease the high blood pressure symptoms? But again, never correlating these two symptoms of night sweats and high blood pressure, which then would regulate, by the way, throughout the day, right? It would fall from 140 to 100 in the morning to 100 over 68 in the afternoon. Dramatic. That's where I would typically hover at. I'm an athlete. I work out. I don't have any kind of red flags in my blood work. All my screenings are clean. So where are these symptoms coming from?
Mm-hmm.
So interestingly enough, fast forward to one of my contributors, Phil Cowley, on a segment called America's Favorite Pharmacist on my very show. Again, we're experts on the microphone, so I interview only experts. So when I receive the information, I'm in the best position in the world on these various disruptive emerging industries that I speak to. I speak to them and then I ingest the information and absorb it and enrich my knowledge. And knowledge is power. So my husband always makes fun of me, says, you know too much. It's like a double-edged sword. So I immediately knew that there was something wrong and nobody was picking up on this with whatever was causing my night sweats. But again, did not think it was related to the breast implant illness. I'm going to pause. I'm going to wait to see if you have any questions before I continue, because this is a very long story.
No, it's intriguing because when you're thinking about, first of all, here at the endo community, we're very used to doctors looking at something and saying, okay, let's do a bunch of tests. And once the tests are inconclusive or appear normal, you're sent home. Yet they haven't gotten to the bottom of it. So we always talk about being an advocate for yourself. And the fact that you didn't let that slide and you said, you know what? I know I'm not okay. I know something's up. I'm going to go investigate that further. And you empowered yourself to do so, where we really need to practice that more, because we know that so many health issues they're not cookie cutter. They're not simple. They're not easy to find the answers to. So once you figured out that this is not my normal, this is not okay, what were the next steps for you to go past the blood tests?
So I then called a cardiologist that's a friend of mine, Dr. Nate Leibowitz, here in Fort Lee in New Jersey. He has a great practice, and he has a very holistic approach, separate of that. He's also very science-based, right? But he will evaluate both options. And he says, yeah, there's no way we can put you on medicine at this kind of inconsistency. And quite frankly, I don't think you need prescription medicine. I think this could be nipped in the bud with maybe some, lifestyle changes. And again, I said lifestyle changes. It's not. No, he alluded to nocturnal hypoglycemia, which we had ruled out. But he said, listen, there's a product out there, and by no means this is an infomercial or a plug to this product, but I have been using it. It's called Muktavati by a company named Ivy. It's Ayurvedic, and it's 100% organic, holistic, plant-based. And he says it's the only pill that I know of that is clinically proven and clinically researched to reduce blood pressure and to regulate cholesterol, as well as promote cardiovascular health. So I tried it. I ordered it on Amazon. I got it. I took 2 the first day. The second day I took 4, 2 in the morning, 2 at night, little tiny pills. It says to take it with lukewarm water. And I immediately saw that lower number on the diastolic come down, those 10 numbers that it was, sure, some of the higher readings were 140 over 100, but typically I would wake up with, 130 over 90. And you don't want to wake up over 90. You want to wake up over, 75, right? So that 10 on the bottom was extremely important for me. So Muktavati accomplished that. Now, it accomplished it in the weeks leading up to what we're going to talk about. Okay, let's go back to breast implant illness. So in the 9 months of this occurrence, I had noticed my left breast getting smaller. At 250 cc's, you don't notice much because it's not a big implant to begin with. And the saline, up to what this year I believe to be were the safest implants, because saline will be naturally absorbed by the body, and I still believe that that's the case if there's a lesser of two evils out there between silicone and saline. Now, as I saw the breast shifting size and diminishing in size, I called up Dr. Rankin and I said, listen, I have a flat tire. He's like, what, are you just diagnosing yourself? And I'm like, pretty much. I've done this for 4 years with you on air. I have a flat tire. He's like, okay, listen, I have a 3.5, 4 year waiting list, but you're like family. We'll get you in right away. Let's schedule it for the end of the year, December 18th. And I said, great. And this was about 4 months ago. But what had happened in that 4 months is this left breast started becoming really small. Like, so I'm thinking it's definitely a rupture. And that's fine because there's no concern if it's a rupture. The saline will, I mean, it's not fine. It's not an immediate health risk, meaning you still have to remove it and address it. But it's not like you're running to the ER. So unless you're in pain or there's something else happening. So we schedule the explant surgery December 18th. I pack up from New York City. I take my daughter out of school for the last week of Christmas and I go to Dr. Rankin and he explants. And I opt for a natural breast lift. He did an anchor lift. There's typically 3 types of breast lifts you could do. There's the 2 most common is the lollipop and the anchor. The anchor is if you do need some reconstruction. Typically, if you've explanted, you'll get that anchor lift. It's basically looks like a lollipop with the little anchor underneath it, right? So there's like, it cups the boob and it gives you that support. So I got an anchor lift and I had it December 18th, but here's what they discovered. So when they removed the implants, they didn't find a rupture. They found a faulty valve. And the faulty valve, they're always questionable because again, the FDA they don't have to guarantee and medically approve the entire device, just the major components of it. So those faulty valves, number one, are questionable, manufactured, who made them. Most of those implants that are explanted, the valve has mold around it. This is as per Dr. Rankin's documentation and many doctors who are explanting and they're seeing this. And there's risk that mold reaches into the bloodstream. So what was happening is the saline had not just leaked out from a hole, it was leaking out of that faulty valve and taking with it all of the biofilms and toxins through that valve, supercharged with the saline behind it into my bloodstream, causing my body at night to go into defense mode, sweat it out. And again, if you could picture a woman sleeping, those implants are resting right on top of your lung cavity. So anything that's absorbing, anything that faulty valve or that implant is secreting is going directly into your blood. Now, interestingly enough, had I been a woman that was perhaps slightly overweight, had diabetes, have high blood pressure that I'm being treated for, this could have tipped the boat to take me into having a stroke, because the amount of sweat that I would secrete in the middle of the night, and nothing that you would smell. It was more like you just drenched. It's like you could feel that something was wrong. And in the morning, I would wake up with insane headaches. And this went on for 9 months. Only did I realize after I explanted that it was all because of that faulty valve, the breast implants that were leaking out, and my body was reacting and going into battle mode. And when I explanted the very next day, I didn't take any painkillers. I didn't take any muscle relaxants, nothing, just the antibiotic. My blood pressure, despite the pain I was in, perfect. I woke up with 96/68. Then my night sweats, and I was bandaged up. I was fearful that I was going to be battling night sweats in the middle of recovering from breast explant surgery. Night sweats gone. In fact, I was cold. I was in, I remember Florida in our Airbnb, and I had the AC on to 75, and my husband's like, "You've lost your mind." He's like, you want it really cold." I was like, "Yeah, now I'm cold, not hot." So I want it hot. And he said to me, "So what about the night sweats? They're gone." And now it's been 3 weeks, no night sweats, no high blood pressure, back to normal, feel like a new woman, no headaches. no migraines. So everything was spiraling out of control. So what I want women to know, Diana, is breast implant illness is a condition. It's a condition that isn't well understood, but that one that for sure can be debilitating. And breast implant illness refers to a wide range of symptoms, not just some that I described, that developed in that typically develop in people who have reconstruction or cosmetic enlargement with breast implants. And it's, you can't say it's an official medical diagnosis because it's still not well understood, but most experts now believe that BII symptoms may be caused by an autoimmune or inflammatory reaction to the implants. And the symptoms vary from person to person. I've interviewed over a dozen people who have all claimed they suffered from breast implant illness. And these symptoms include fatigue, joint pain, memory and concentration problems, and just so much more. The autoimmune-like symptoms associated with BII and fatigue and joint pain and brain fog and rashes and just the laundry list goes on and on. So when you look at it in retrospect, is it an entire community of women that are just crazy? You know, and BII, by the way, without a doubt, I mean, it's not like we're all just lining up telling the doctors, look, we've done all these other tests and our symptoms are persisting. But then when the implants come out, the symptoms miraculously disappear. So it's all pointed there. Now, the
Yeah.
FDA issued a black box warning in October of 2021, stating that all implants, textured implants, saline included, are in fact could cause symptoms of breast cancer illness, of breast implant illness, and lead to certain cancers. And it's implant at your own risk. So it's up to the surgeons to relay the black box warning to the patients who receive the box and take that implant out. But a lot of surgeons themselves, they don't want to have this conversation with a patient that is eager to do a breast augmentation, because that patient is going to be a patient for life. You get a girl in her 20s who wants to implant, she's your patient till she's 60. And that revision surgery and that reimplant and that explant, that's a big, big, big dollar sign for them. So they're not incentivized to discourage implants. Whereas I want to tell women, they filmed my entire surgery. I saw my body cut open. I saw the muscle. I saw the implant being with a medical device, a handheld medical device with electrical current going through that thing, just cauterizing and taking all that capsule up. Because in this case, I did a full capsulectomy, which means removing the tissues surrounding the capsule, where most experts believe that's where all the toxicity and that's where all the garbage essentially from the implant lays. That's what you have to take out if you're going to explant. And the FDA is saying that a total capsulectomy is no longer needed, and you could leave that capsule in and reimplant on top, to me is mind-boggling. The fact that they're coming out with this. They're also saying that you can wait up to 20 years to remove an implant. Again, just statistics that are not well researched, not well. This is the same organization that lied. The FDA lies to people, and they've lied to people for the last 3 decades, especially on implants. So I just, the medical community for me is, when it comes to breasts augmentation and implants, needs to do their research before they're advising women and give them the full disclosure.
After you and I talked and you told me what happened to you, I went and Googled a ton, and more rheumatologists are doing their own studies. They're looking into what you've learned firsthand and what you've done by interviewing dozens of women that have suffered from breast implant illness. And they're saying there's a very real connection between breast implant illness and autoimmune diseases such as RA, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS. They're finding more and more because the body, as you said, has an autoimmune response. They want to fight out this foreign object that's been implanted. And like you said, if it's saline and it ruptures, that's one thing, but there's so many other components like the leaky valves, things that you don't even think about when you go through an implant surgery. And what I found very interesting is I have breast implants. I got them very young. I think I was about 24, 25. And there were no warnings at that time. It was years and years ago. It was like 2010 or 2008, something like that. It was a no big deal procedure. It was something like as easy as taking a vitamin C supplement. It was not made to have any health risk. I wasn't even told that I would need to get those implants taken out and replaced. It was like, no, you get implants and you live with them for the rest of your life. No one said it was every 10 years, there was checkups, anything like that. And I'm not faulting my surgeon. He's a very good man. He's a great doctor. But again, these were not conversations had all those years ago. Now, after being told what you told me, it was like, wow, stunning revelation that only in 2021, we're only in 2024, that there is this ban. So people that have implants are not even being, it's not like your surgeon calls you up and go, hey, by the way, just want you to know those things in your body, those foreign objects, they could become a real problem for you, even if you know it or not. I mean, we're not being told that things have changed in a matter of years. It's really something that for anyone watching, that if they're suffering from an unknown illness, they've gone for doctor's tests, they've gone for MRIs, they can't find answers, maybe go a little deeper, see if it has something to do with your implants. I for one have never thought about tying the two together until you and I had that conversation.
I never thought that my night sweats were related to my breast implants. And then that was causing my high blood pressure in the morning. And then, all of this was just interconnected. And it's important to note that BII can affect people with any type of breast implant, including the silicone gel filled, the saline filled, the smooth surface, the textured surface, round or teardrop shaped. I mean, it doesn't discriminate, and it can develop whether implants have ruptured or stayed intact. So
Hmm.
not, mine was a faulty valve leaking, but I could have still been suffering from breast implant illness even with intact implants. And also important to note, because I don't want to scare women, that breast implant illness is not the same as the rare types of cancer that can develop in the scar tissue and fluid surrounding a breast implant, such as breast implant associated anaplastic large cell lymphoma, which is BIALCL. That develops as a result of your implant sac, but that's not breast implant illness. That's another condition that will be developed as a result of breast implant illness. So it starts with BII, and then there's a progression. And then as well, Diana, there's other forms of lymphoma and breast implant associated squamous cell carcinoma, which they call BIA-SCC. But it's worthy to point out that BII can aggravate cells, right, that are predisposed to cancers. So you have to do your research. I mean, like I said, I've conducted over 2 dozen interviews on BII with BII patients. They have all stated that symptoms can appear anytime after implant surgery. Some said they started developing breast implant illness symptoms immediately, while some developed them many years later. But interestingly, a lot of the symptoms of BII are associated to what you just said with autoimmune and connective tissue disorders, such as lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, and even scleroderma.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's more than 375,000 women that received breast implants in 2021. That's a lot, right? The more than 375,000 women. That's in 2021, and that's a 44% increase from the year before. And breast augmentation to this day remains one of the most common and popular plastic surgery procedures performed in the US, because the doctors say it has a low risk of complications, right? So the doctors are at the front lines, and they are the only ones that can help fight the fight, and they have to. I can't stress enough, have to be transparent with their
Mhm.
patients.
No, Zen, this again is such a pivotal conversation, one that really needs to be in the spotlight more, the medical community spotlight, and also to anyone who decides that they're going to put in implants into their body, what the risks are. And as more and more data comes out, it's definitely becoming more of a con than a pro to go ahead with what they say is a less complicated surgery when you know what could possibly happen to your health. Thank you again for your time. It's been really wonderful to have this conversation.
I'm so thankful for allowing me to have a voice on your platform and to open up perhaps the eyes of women out there that are in distress, trying to figure out what's wrong with them and why they're feeling the way they're feeling. The answer literally might be right under their nose.